blood everywhere and like
How do you think you don't get this? You have a cookie.
That's a big belly.
Yeah, it's nice.
There's a
He'll
large
go into
belly.
it.
Yeah.
He
likes it. Where's Michael's belly?
Told me, what? Kid got real serious all of a sudden.
Well, you're talking about serious stuff, so he hones in.
I'm talking about morons who wait until the end of the game to have a heart attack.
Thank you, buddy.
Well, if it's a good game, it's a good game.
Yeah, that's what they think too.
Oh, look, he likes you.
But no, it's not.
Thank you.
There's not,
Nothing
do you want
like
it?
that.
not
Would you like to
anything
have?
exciting or
Yeah, take him. Here.
life.
He won't remember us.
You want to come home
Yes,
with me?
that's good.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, there you go. I like it. Ugh.
That was a solid kid.
The original title for the project is Too Embarrassing to Say Out Loud, but the original movie was sort of inspired by like a Susan Smith type character, who, you know, she drowned her kids in a car and blamed it on I think a Puerto Rican guy, like just some blind Puerto Rican guy, and then everybody believed her. And I thought that was kind of fascinating. And then as I was working on it, it wasn't interesting to me anymore as the kind of movie that one I could pull off or that was keeping my interest. And then I changed I was like, what's more interesting than somebody who kills their kids is people who don't, you know, people who make it through that slog. It became a musician who got his girlfriend pregnant and had to give up music and move forward from there. And then that got lost my interest again. We had a friend who got his girlfriend pregnant and had to give up a hockey contract. So it was kind of inspired by that. And then the musician part, Tony was going to play the musician. It just seemed like almost like a Hallmark movie or like a Lifetime movie, I guess. And it just kept getting stripped. And I was like, well, what? I'll just make him a plumber. Because then, nobody can accuse me of trying to make some other point about creativity and obligations or something like that, which is something I didn't want to do. I just wanted to be a selfish person. And so then it just kept my interest and came together really fast. So I worked at Connie's Pizza in Westmont. It's not there anymore. Tom Fana, that's Tammy's dad, was the head chef. And Tom, who's in the movie, also is just a very chill guy who I enjoyed talking to. And when I was about to make Quietly on By, Tom found out that I made movies, and he was like, my daughter and son are both into that kind of thing. Like, they're just interested in it. And then I was like, oh, okay, great. And people say it all the time. And he went to his car, and he came back with a picture of his two kids, and he was like, so that's Tammy and that's Tommy. They're cool. I was like, you're adorable. And so I was like, give me their number. I'll call. So Tammy showed up, and she's sweet, smart, smiled like a light Chicago. But so she was the most effective and reliable crew person. She had done film school. She knew how to use equipment. I think at one point I was hacksawing a light stand so I could attach it to another light stand to like hoist up a 5K to shoot through the window. And she was just standing there looking, and I was like, you went to film school? What am I doing wrong? She goes, everything. And I was like, you're the best. And then we were friends after that, That's how I feel about her more than anything. I think when I think about Tammy, I think about like my friend. I don't think about the person that was in, we made movies together and stuff. And Carrie never liked the idea of these two people who had a kid and lived in a basement, because it just seems like more boring, regular people, man. Like, and she would always tease me, about just make a movie about normal people and all this stuff. And it wasn't until, and again, I know we were getting out of the car. I know we were not talking about the movie or like the script at that time. But I said to Carrie, I said, what if I got Tammy to play Christy? And she was like, okay, that would be good. I was like, okay. So that was my permission to go and make the movie. Yeah, we were just in touch, and it just seemed like the right thing. It seemed like having her in it would have this vulnerable, just because she was in front of the camera and not an actress, she would just be vulnerable, but she knew she just had to be confident and like do it. I knew Tammy and I would have a better relationship on camera than Tony and Tammy would. And then the Craig character burst out of that because I thought, let's write Tony like a show-off part where he's just annoying and a ham, and then he's drunk and he's awkward. You know what I mean? Like, let's just, show the range of what this, this guy could do. Because he'd already played Aaron, he'd already played Anson, and he never played somebody like Craig. Came in, and just kind of lights up everybody. The first hump we needed to get over for present company was we needed a young kid, like almost a baby, but like maybe that could be potty trained. I don't know. We needed like a young kid, and I didn't want to go through actors, stage moms. And I asked four different people, if I could kind of like just, borrow them to use them in the movie. They wouldn't need to do the lines and all this stuff. And the first thing I found out is that, as long as they know you, it was all people I knew, they were so ready to hand over their kid for any amount of time. There was like, yeah, when you need them, I'll have them there. Sure, change of clothes, anything. Want his haircut, whatever. Just tell me a time. I'm already there. They were. Everybody was willing. Mikey lived the closest. He was my cousin, so like I knew I could not let anything bad happen to him just biologically. I cut my hair like him, like they buzz his head. That's why Buddy's haircut's cut like that. I cut it like Mikey's. He looks like me and Tammy's kid. He looks like we had a kid, And he didn't talk, so that was cool. He's still the tearing paper towels. That was. She was like, just give him a roll of paper towels, it'll be fine. And then him crying whenever we reacted like that. When I snapped at her, he started crying. Like he felt the tension in the room, and then we'd calm him down. And we did it 3 times before it started to feel like abuse. I was like, okay, now we're just messing with his head. And then I was like, for downtimes, like put on Nemo, So, but we never had him more than like a few hours. Yeah, he's a big boy now. He's taller than me. I put together probably the scrappiest production I've ever put together, even scrappier than Hohokam, because at least I was there and reliable in putting it together with present company. I had a different cameraman for each, kind of like element of it. Swanberg shot all the stuff with me and Sasha. Tammy's brother Tommy shot majority of the stuff in the house. Tony shot a lot of it. My friend Sandra, who operates a camera, shot all the plumbing stuff. I shot all the Tony and Tammy stuff, like in the grocery store and like the little informal wake after Craig's dad passes away, so that each person kind of brought their own idiosyncrasies, like those little subtle things to each story. If people liked the movie and still were like, the camera, I don't know. I remember Aaron Hillis came up to me like at South by, where it premiered, and he was like, I really liked it. I wrote you a good review. Had to ding you on the camera stuff though. I stand by it. If that's what you got to do, which is what I had to do, no money, no time. Like each thing was shot of kind of independently of itself. Of like each little island, of like the location when we could be there, when people could be there, and just using a sister-in-law's apartment, this person's house, just wherever we could do it. Tammy's parents got cast because they're not just because of Tammy's, but just because of who they are. And I was like, why go and find a couple of actors to do this when these guys are just gonna be here? And they'll be happy to do it. Their son is shooting it. They got this dude in their house, and I was like, okay, you guys just watch TV. We'll be up in an hour or two, and I'm going to take the car. I don't think they never saw a script, the parents. Yeah. It was just like, here's what you're doing. And they're like, okay. You know?
Well, so then we can use your mom's timeshares, right?
Where did that come from?
I mean, that's like
I
2
don't.
weeks anywhere.
I don't want to get involved at all. So
Why?
no.
Well, I think like Mikey, we could take Mikey somewhere on vacation.
It's too little. Shit in the pool.
Well, like not right away, but in a little while, like in a year.
In a year, then we'll worry about it. Okay.
Should we go to Hawaii?
You know what? If you still give a shit about the timeshare tomorrow, okay?
Why do you think
we
I'm
can
going to
call-
change my mind?
Well, it's just because you heard about it and now you're just like hypothetically
Well, I think that's
thinking
pretty
about
cool
stuff.
that we have that.
We don't have shit.
It's like-
my mom's. It's not mine. It's hers. So that doesn't.
Well, when you're acting in something that you're directing, I think it's almost easier. One, because it's one less person you have to worry about showing up. It's one less person you have to communicate the ideas to. And you can, especially if you're playing a jerk, you're in that scene, you're in control. You're directing by how rude you're being, how aggressive you're being, by the kind of, like when Tammy keeps interrupting. I don't think it's scripted, where I say that she's a last word freak and ask her if she knows that about herself. And it's just like, and like, you mock her and stuff. Like, that's me directing the scene. By pushing her back on her toes and like keeping her on her heels and not giving her something to say. I think since I mainly play, people who aren't overly nice, or flawed in some way, shape, or form. It's always just sort of just you're sitting down there. You're the director. They're acting with you. You're in control if you're in control of the scene, and if you're playing jerks, even if they're not in control, they're gonna be the person in control of the conversation.
But I'm asking you to turn the song off, man.
And I'm saying no, man.
Well, why are you doing this?
Why am I doing what?
It's his car.
Yeah, it's my car. Why should everybody else turn off the song just because you don't want to listen to it?
Yeah, that's not very fair.
You know what? You're right.
Not
Let me
fair.
out of the car.
No.
Let me out of the car.
No.
Turn it off! Oh my God. Just turn it off. I'm going to jump out of the car.
The story of somebody being in the back of the car yelling to turn it off and like threatening to jump out of the car happened to Carrie when she was visiting some friends, and I was like, that's the most obnoxious thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So it's like, put it in. So like for that scene, for example, like Tony is just balled up in the footwell of the car shooting, and then I'm just belted in and holding the car door open, and we're just driving around, getting on and off the expressway and stuff.
You need gas or something?
Let me get a pot.
It was just like this older idea that just kept getting worked, which I really hadn't done before, like multiple outlines and iterations of it, until it just came together into a script that I was like, this feels like a movie. Probably the most interesting that happened is that the bike that Buddy's building in the movie was originally a character. And that character was like an older woman who was going to be kind of like an object of affection. And I never finished writing the part. As I was typing the part, I could feel myself just having her say what I needed her to say. And like having her, crack these eggs of knowledge and doing these flirty things and being this thing for Buddy that like she might as well be an object. So I took apart a bike that I had and I was like, I'm just going to do this and put it together and show that he is competent, in things, because he's learning something new, but also like he can do this thing, like he is available. And then to take this thing he put so much time into and then just to give it away at the end the way he does means something to me, because I was working at Baker Square at the time. I was still a host. I was cashing somebody out. She had a Cross pen, that brand. And she was writing, she had her own pen. She's writing up that check. And I go, that's a very nice pen. She goes, oh, here. I was like, are you serious? And I was like the loveliest thing. So I don't know, she kind of like made my day. And I thought, I was like, at the end of the movie, this, fucking guy is going to make somebody's day. As far as the structure goes, it doesn't have these blow up moments. It doesn't have the big fight. It doesn't have Buddy or Christy coming home and finding the other person in just the right light with the kid sleeping on their shoulder. It doesn't have those moments because if you want to see those, go watch any other movie about a couple having trouble. For me, it was about building to the moment when Buddy's leaving and they don't say anything. And he just gives that shitty kind of like, and she just rolls her fucking eyes at this guy that she's going to have to deal with forever because it's her, it's her kid's dad. It was about getting to that. And I don't think you get to that trying to understand what's going on between them as a couple. Like, they are singularly concerned with themselves in the movie. And I think, and this is something that I'm going to have to chalk up to a little bit of luck, because Present Company was about trying to understand. It wasn't about any experience that I had. So the first time you see Tammy with the kid, like, he's just ignoring her calls, and they just need to trade off the kid, and that being an introductory scene to it, just trading off the kid and, the oranges and all that stuff. It was like, okay, that's the tone of this movie. Just keep going back and forth. And it became an A-B structure, which these people will always have to be somewhere else. They always have a different obligation. It's like, it doesn't allow for the fight where it's like, I come home every day and I don't feel those fights in me. I don't think that they're going to happen. And if they do happen, they're under your breath as you are done brushing your teeth because you got to go.
Buddy, wow.
Buddy, wow.
I gotta fucking go, man. I should not fucking be driving right now, dude. I've got to fucking take you home.
Well, maybe we could just pull over.
The acid scene is another trying to understand versus an experience. That was not my experience. I've never taken acid. But Lonnie has. And he did once, and he freaked out, and he went back home, and his dad was watching like a nature documentary, and he sat there just freaking out, and he got up and was like, he asked his dad if he could use the bathroom. His dad's like, what the fuck? So I was given permission to take that story and put it in. So it was Lonnie's little thing. And then I asked everybody I knew who had done it. I was like, just talk to me about it. Just tell me, because I'm going to play. And then, they go, well, I was, you just feel like you're, and there would be these long feeling stories about like their senses and the way that, the ground felt. And I was like, well, what were you doing though? Oh, I was sitting on a curb at the Dave Matthews concert. I was like, oh, you were like, all these stories just wound up to them just sitting there. So I was like, that'll be that. Like, I'm just like standing there looking at the door. My brother came in when I was editing it, and it's just me standing there looking at the door, turn, and then sit down. And he's like, is that guy tripping balls? It's like, how do you know? He's like, because he's looking at that door like, I'm not sure if I should go through that door. So it's just about, and it taught me a lot about understanding. It's about, like, a lot of acting is about, like, what the camera is seeing and, like, just playing that. Like, it's, like, I don't remember what I was thinking about because I held that breath and tried not to blink for as long as humanly possible. And, to be like, I'm freaking out, and then try to look like you're not freaking out, right? So it's like, how do you play drunk? It's like, try to seem normal. I think the biggest surprise that made its way into Present Company is the dynamic of all the people who are never in scenes together, just feeling like unified, feeling like they're from like a town. They all lived pretty close to each other. They all knew the same places to eat. Like that's what I feel like when I watch that movie. I feel like they are in, Generatown, USA. Like they are in a specific place. Like it's not lighthearted and fun with one person, and it's not terrible at home with these people. Like it has a really unified tone, and I think that was the biggest surprise for me. I was like, this feels like a movie. This feels like a bona fide movie, and I think a lot of the silent things working was a big surprise, because again, in trying to strip away all the dramatic things, you like the postcard and her like putting it up on the screen, playing the way it does to avoid dialogue, and again building to that moment where they leave and they just don't even say goodbye.
Well, I'm not gonna be home.
Ever?
No, not just yet, babe.
You know, by the time you get there, he's gonna be completely wasted, right?
Probably. So.
Did he even like his dad? Maybe it's like a celebration.
I think going back and forth between Buddy and Christy, where he's going to watch the burlesque show and she's going to this kind of morbid funeral thing. Like they're both branching out, and it's with other people of the opposite sex. And I think it's just supposed to just see like there's no hope for these two, and they don't love each other, and they'll take anything, like what is this, like they'll claw into anything just to drag them out, almost to make the mistake that finally breaks it, and neither one of them are. Craig's uninterested. I think Sasha's interest is fleeting at best because he kind of sucks. I think when she just rolls over and go to bed, like Buddy should have left, but he's trying to ruin it, and then just being stuck there with the car. I think it was all to get him to not get the car back home on time, just to show him thanks, this fucking guy. It was just to get to a real, like, here's the inconvenience of like not having your own place and like having control over your own time, is that you start to like more than inconvenience people, but you start to really mess up with their lives and where they're going and stuff. So I think a lot of it was just to get to that, and to get Buddy the card and have them not talk about it. He's done with this. Like he's done. She wants to be done, so she puts it on the fridge and be like, "Want to be done? Let's talk this out." And he just takes it down. It's like, nope, not today. Not today, not ever. It's just built up in such a way where it's like, I think you're waiting for the explosions, like we said before, not pulling all the dramatics. I think you're waiting for something to pop, something to crack. And it just turns into, a unique night, but same shit, different day in the morning. When I would shoot a movie, my priority was always to anticipate the next move of the people that I'm shooting. So like stuff that I shot, there's a lot of, panning down, tilting and panning, and, waiting for them to look up, or waiting for, these little moments to happen, and then making sure that they register. I don't talk from behind the camera. I don't break takes. I don't give line readings from behind the camera. I really just stand back there, because if you are quiet and like an actor or a non-actor is without something to say, you get a very genuine look on their face of, I don't know what to do next. And that's a great look to have, in the editing room. It was really great. Matt Dentler was the programmer at the time, and Quietly and Hohokam had already been passed over for South by, along with many other festivals. And then Present Company was going to have the world premiere at South by that year. It was a really good year. And I got the call, and I don't want to say it just felt like a load off. Like I wasn't even that thrilled. I was like, okay, fucking finally, you know. Yeah, it was going to be his last year there, so I remember Bob Byington told me he must have been thinking, let's get on the Frank Ross train before it leaves. And it was an acknowledgement that I needed to be like, as much as I hate to admit it, I feel like I belong now, you know? So South by at the time was mainly located in one area, and there was like 2 theaters you had to take a tram to. Like a shuttle, and I was in one of the theaters you had to take a shuttle to, and I was like, God fucking damn it, I don't even want to take the shuttle to go see my movie, but the Safdies movie was premiering before mine, so it was like Pleasure at Present Company, so everybody like got on the shuttle to go see those, you know, and like you know, Greta was there, Barry was there, you know, like everybody like showed up. There were more filmmakers than civilians at the Present Company, you know, screening, and it felt like, okay, cool. I wish this didn't make me feel like I belong, but it does, and I will take that joy for right now. I will be happy about that for a little bit. When I think about the title, like just Present Company, and where I was working at the time, and the people who were going to be involved, I think I started making it from a very cynical place. I think it was initially, like we talked about, you know, like from a news story and about like, you know, it was about somebody who killed their kids, and it just turned into a movie that wasn't. And I think I was approaching it from like, let's make a movie about this person who can't appreciate something that they have. And I think it started from there. It started to ridicule the way that this guy was dealing with his life and make the girl he was with just this sort of like person who's putting up with it. And it didn't come out that way. And I just think that was, you know, again, like as an actor, as a director, like just play the moment. Keep it real. Just what is the camera seeing? Play that, you know? I don't care how the acid trip felt. I want to know what it looked like. And then people will make their own judgments about the acid trip. Turns out it's kind of funny. And the way it all played out was this kind of charming movie about, you know, these 2 people who shouldn't be together, locked in a basement, who do rude things to each other. But it's like, put us under a microscope long enough in the course of a couple of weeks, and like our lives are really funny and like silly. You know, we were just talking about the week that we've had since our last interview, and it's like there was a rat in that story. You know, it's like I would have never, you know, guessed that. And it's not a haunted house because there's a rat in it, and you know, it's just trying to get by. It's just what new hell faces me today, you know, like, but being up for that and being like, you know, down for that. I think the movie has a happy ending, and I don't just mean, you know, the giving away of the bike. I mean, like, they are going to go live separately. They're going to deal with this. I think they're going to wind up getting along together better, you know, because, you know, like, they have separated. And that look she gives at the end of the movie when, you know, when he's walking out the door, it's like, there's no cynicism in that. Even though Buddy he's got a guard up, you know, and he's just like, think it'd be raining or something, you know, like, where are the dramatics? Where are they at? And it's like, you don't get them. And then the music that, you know, Tony put together for it, where he found this kind of like ding 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 ding, you know, this kind of like almost like childlike toy that he uses to play it with. It's like sometimes things happen to us where it's like we need to be older, you know, like when you have kids, you're like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to go through with this. We're just thrust in these situations, and I think Present Company is a way to say, it's like this world that's around you is enjoy it now, hate it now, but it's like I don't have any foresight. So like that was the movie to say, you know, everybody's terrible, Present Company excluded.